Hi guys, I know it's been a couple months since I made a video, but well, things have happened, the usual like grad school, work, that kind of stuff, but I figured I'd try to go ahead and give you a little bit of an update. You might remember that part 13 was about my health issues and was basically why part 3 was delayed, so I made that video. But things have happened in the last 2 weeks that kind of have strained my mental sanities here, so let me go ahead and get started. About 2 weeks ago now, I started feeling nauseous in the afternoons, enough for me to have to get off the phone to the call center and got to go right to the toilet for a little bit. Never actually vomited, but started making me think, hey, maybe I'm pregnant. So, last Tuesday, a week before, well, last Tuesday, week and a half ago, was supposed to be when my period started, so I figured I'd go ahead and put a tampon in just in case. And then, well, my left side had been hurting for on and off for a couple days before that, but I figured maybe it's just, I didn't really think much of it. And then, the day my period was supposed to start, quote unquote period, I started getting this massive cramping all across my stomach. The usual menstrual cramp is like worse than most cramps I've had before. And this left side pain got really intense, and right about 2:30 in the afternoon, suddenly I just soaked through my tampon completely, and I started kind of freaking out a little bit, and so my supervisor gave me a pad to use. I went ahead and switched out the tampon, wore the pad for a while, and I figured I was trying not to freak out too much. I'm thinking, well, maybe this is just a weird period, like, cause you don't want me getting TMI, but the blood was all brown and nasty looking, and it's like, I'm not going into detail just yet, but anyway, next couple days, normally I only cramp either the day before my period or the day of my period. I kept cramping for 4 straight days after my period started, which has never happened before, and I kept doing this weird brown bleeding. And that Thursday, I think it was Thursday the 26th, there was more of this weird dark brown blood with like little pieces of tissue in it. Not like blood clotting, it was like chunks of just stuff, and I started getting kind of nervous. And so I called a nurse hotline. And they said, yeah, it could be a miscarriage, it could be an ectopic, it could be of cysts, because I mentioned my history of cysts. Like, it could be any of those things. If you're feeling worse, just go ahead and go to the ER. And I figured, well, okay. And then Friday came and I still wasn't feeling too hot. So again, I called the nurse hotline. They said, I described my symptoms to I actually called Memorial Hospital North because my doctor, well, let me back up. I went to my regular doctor who told me to go over, well, when I was afraid I was having a miscarriage, I went over to my regular doctor. They told me, oh, we don't handle that stuff. Go over to this other facility that we're linked with. I went over there. They were having pee in a cup. They said, oh, the test is negative. It's probably, they went ahead and did a pelvic exam, and it was very, very tender up there. And they said, well, if your pain continues to get worse, we're linked up with Memorial Hospital North on north end of town. So if your pain continues to get worse, go ahead and go over there. I'm just like, okay. So on Friday, I still felt bad, so I called a nurse at Memorial Hospital North because I didn't want to waste a trip to the ER. So I called her to cover my symptoms, and she told me you should probably come in here within the next 4 hours based on what you're describing to me. So I said, okay. She said, don't drive yourself, have someone drive you. I'm like, okay. So I went ahead and I texted my mother-in-law. She came right over. She took me right straight to the ER. I again had to pee in a cup. Again, the pee test was negative, and it was pretty much just a couple hours of me just pretty much just napping in the exam room and peeing in a cup because they didn't even really examine me that much. They said, well, your pee test was negative, so it's not on a topic, it's not a miscarriage. Probably just another cyst. Here's 2 Norco, which is basically hydrocodone Vicodin. So here's 2 Norco. Go home. And if you still feel bad, come back. It's like, okay, thanks for nothing. So I took the 2 Vicodin, went home, tripped balls the rest of the evening, And then 3 days ago, well, I obviously was still having this left side pain. The cramping had subsided, the bleeding had subsided by then, so probably still thinking maybe it's just a period after all, because the bleeding did stop like a day after it was normally supposed to stop anyway, but I still was having this left side pain, so I went ahead and I released early from work, went to the ER again 3 days ago, and this time they took me a little more seriously. They went ahead and stuck an IV in me. They did a transvaginal ultrasound, and they said, well, no, you're not pregnant. And they did more blood work and stuff, along with gave me the IV and everything. And they said, well, the ultrasound revealed a 1.5 centimeter cyst on your left ovary, has not burst yet. Because my original thing was that the pain had gotten worse that day, so 3 days ago, so I thought it had burst, but apparently it has not burst yet, which is unusual because normally my cysts only cause me pain when they have burst. So having this one hurt me when it hasn't burst is highly unusual even for mine. Now, if you would keep a track from the previous videos, this is going to be cyst number 4 for me. 4. So anyway, this time they went ahead and prescribed me some of the Norco, and they also prescribed me some of prescription strength ibuprofen to take for the pain as well. And so I've been kind of taking the Vicodin on and off the last couple of days. Can't really take it for work, so I'll fall asleep from the effects of the Vicodin. So I've been okay at work, although well, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like, even though they showed me that it was a cyst, I wasn't ectopic, I never was pregnant or anything like that, I still had this feeling of loss, of mourning, like there's that potential for me to be pregnant, and I started losing it this morning at work when I was trying to make up some hours at work this morning. I lasted about an hour on the phone, kept having to take small breaks off the phone because I was just starting to freak out, and I started just crying this morning at work, and went to talk with one of my trainers who trained me for this job back in April, May, June, and he hugged me, told me he recommended he recommended the OBGYN that his wife goes to, but I went ahead and I called the OBGYN who the ER recommended I follow up with, but they don't have another opening until the 12th, so I'm not going to get seen until next Thursday for my cyst issue, whatever, because, well, when I was at the ER, I told them that all these cysts, they've all been on my left side, and I was like, can I just get that ovary out, because the right one behaves just fine, and the doctor, they look at me like I'm crazy, like, you're too young to be having your ovaries taken out. I was like, I just need the one. If I want to have kids, I do want to have kids. And so here I am, 2 weeks after this pain started, a week and a half since the whole period thing, and I'm still in pain. I haven't taken any Vicodin today because, frankly, it hasn't worked as well. Starting yesterday, it hasn't worked quite as well as it has been. And, well, like I said, I'm kind of a mental wreck because even though they told me I wasn't pregnant, part of me still feels that loss, like I actually did miscarry, and I told my husband about these feelings I've been having today, and he was trying to make me comfort food and try to do the best he can to try to alleviate these feelings, but I'm gonna cry now, but I'm 31 years old. I've been wanting kids since I was like 5 years old. Mom would always joke about how, yeah, when you were younger, you always said you'd adopt 2 little black girls by the time you're 25, didn't need a man in your life. And I was like, yeah, I remember saying all that. But I've wanted kids of my own because just my clock's ticking pretty much. But just this whole last week and a half, just thinking about all this, and just I mean, like, I know I'm repeating myself, but I know they told me I wasn't pregnant. That is another cyst. They told me the ultrasound showed another cyst. Nothing else was going on, but still, there's that whole. I'm just really confused and sad right now, and I had to leave work early, even though I was trying to make up hours because I started crying. I couldn't function at work, so I left work early. Came home early, and you can see I've been kind of a wreck today. I don't know. I don't know how to feel. It's like, I can't tell people I miscarried because I didn't. It's just a cyst, but it hurts, and I had this major Vicodin hangover this morning, and I just feel like I did lose something, and I'm just messed up. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be saying all this to you guys on YouTube here, but I figured I'd want you guys to know what's going on here. So, this isn't officially part 14. I just want to let you guys know what's been going on in my life so far. Part 4 will probably definitely be about Dad, because Dad's birthday is coming up on the 23rd, so I'll almost certainly make part 14 about him, but, anyway, I better go now before I really start crying on the camera here. So, once again, guys, I really do want to thank you very much for hanging out with me, and, I'll see you in a little bit, alright? Thank you. Bye-bye.